History. Gringo Gulch neighborhood, Puerto Vallarta. Perched on a sunlit hillside above the cobblestones of downtown Puerto Vallarta, with bougainvillea spilling over whitewashed walls and the great arc of Banderas Bay glittering below, lies Gringo Gulch, the neighborhood that changed Mexico's tourism history forever. This is where director John Huston brought Hollywood to the tropics, where Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton ignited one of the most celebrated love affairs of the 20th century, and where a quiet fishing village woke up to find itself on the front page of every newspaper in the world. The birth of a legendary enclave. Long before the boutique hotels, the rooftop bars, and the cruise ships anchored in Banderas Bay, Puerto Vallarta was something far more precious, a secret. Tucked between the Sierra Madre mountains and the Pacific coast of Jalisco, the town was accessible only by sea or by a grueling dirt road from Guadalajara, a journey that took a day and a half. Letters to the United States took a month to arrive. Telephones were a rumor. This magical isolation was, for the handful of American and Canadian expatriates who discovered it in the early 1950s, precisely the point. Following the city's centenary celebrations in 1951, word quietly spread through artistic and intellectual circles about a small paradise on the Pacific. The first significant wave of foreigners, painters, writers, adventurers, and architects began climbing the steep hillside above the Rio Quail, where the land offered something rare: sweeping views of the bay to the west and cool breezes that made the tropical heat bearable. They called the area El Cerro. The world would eventually call it Gringo Gulch. The name Gringo Gulch blends two vivid terms: gringo, the colloquial Mexican-Spanish term for North American foreigners, and gulch, the English word for a narrow ravine or canyon. The neighborhood's southern end dips Rio Quail, creating a natural topographic gully that gave the second half of its name. It was Elizabeth Taylor herself who first popularized the nickname, using it affectionately to describe her adopted neighborhood at a time when the term carried none of its later edge. The gulch portion of the name refers to the dip toward the river at the neighborhood's southern and a topographic quirk that offered the earliest settlers views to the south over Banderas Bay, making it the most coveted hillside real estate in all of Vallarta. At the time, it was the only hill accessible enough for construction, and those who built there understood they were staking a claim on something extraordinary. John Huston and the Night of the Iguana. John Huston, the legendary director of The Maltese Falcon, The African Queen, and The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, loved Mexico the way Ernest Hemingway loved Cuba. It was where he felt most alive. As one writer of the era put it, John was to film what Hemingway was to words, and Mexico was where both of them felt most at home. Huston had a long, deeply personal relationship with the country, and when he selected an isolated cove called Mismaloya, 8 miles south of Puerto Vallarta, as the location for his 1963 film adaptation of Tennessee Williams' The Night of the Iguana, he was not simply choosing a backdrop. He was choosing a destiny for himself, for his cast. Read the full story on our website. We provide information and resources for visitors to Puerto Vallarta, areas of the Riviera Nayarit, and other destinations in both states of Jalisco and Nayarit. You will find variety of content, including articles, blog posts, videos, photos, descriptions, and interviews, all of which are designed to help visitors plan their trip, including attractions, restaurants, and events. Follow promovisionpv.com. Read the full story on our website.